Hello and welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Worst, a podcast where we watch movie trilogies and try to find out which one vomits blood all over your face. I'm your host, Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal, and joining me as always.
I'm Griner, and repent, the end is extremely effing nigh.
And hello. My name's Luke Morgan.
That was good. Good work, guys. All right, 28 days later, the trilogy we never thought would really come to fruition, but finally has after 23 years, something like that.
Okay, missed opportunity.
Yeah, look, they ballsed it up, but at least we got it. It's here. So 28 days later, 28 weeks later, and 28 years later, the mostly Danny Boyle, Alex Garland series, except for one in the middle, which is a bit weird. But yeah. What did you guys think of these movies? I know, Griner, you're a fan of one. I don't really know if you guys thought about any of the other ones.
Yeah, number one, might be one of my favourite zombie movies ever. I remember when it came out, and I was extremely... I don't know, I just thought it was really cool. Fast Zombies were pretty unique at the time, and this really, in a lot of ways, felt like it revitalised the zombie genre in a lot of ways. After this, we got some really cool stuff like the Dawn of the Dead remake. We got things like Left 4 Dead out of this. This just really inspired so much media that I also really, really enjoyed. It's hard for me to to underestimate how big of an impact this movie had on things that I enjoy.
Sure. Luke, you're an Alex Garland fan, aren't you?
I consider myself an Alex Garland fan. Yes. I enjoy his films like Warfare. I had never seen these movies.
Yeah, right.
So 28 days later is something that's always been on my wall of shame of movies I hadn't seen. I do feel like the last few years I kept putting it off because I was like, it could be a trilogy, and then I can just I'll save it for the podcast, get the most out of it. And because I'm a huge Cillian Murphy fan as well, and so it was something I've always wanted to watch, especially the first one. I didn't know much about the second one. I thought it had kind of bombed at the critically and everything like that, but I had always wanted to watch the first one. I have a weird memory of a few years ago. My wife and I were watching this YouTube video that was like guess the movie by the theme song or like a piece of music from it, and I'm a music guy, and so I was like guessing all of them. And then there was a piece that came on, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but it sounds really cool. And it was 28 days later, and ever since then I was like, I really should check that out. So I'm glad that I've finally been able to tick these off my list.
Yeah. These are This is one of those pivotal movies. I think it was 2002 or 2003. 28 days later came out. 2002. Yeah, it came to 2002. So I was 9. I think I saw it around pretty close to that time. Like I saw it when I was young. I'm assuming one of my brothers rented it, and I just watched it. And so there are scenes from that live with me. The fingers in the eyes. It's kind of trite now. I've seen so much stuff where that happens, but at the time I'd never seen a human being do that to another human being, and so that was quite insane. But you're right, like the music as well. Just I don't know, a lot of it, like the horror. Honestly, the horror in this movie is some of the best horror I think you can get, and really stuck with me as a kid. And I've owned the DVD of this for about 15 years, and I've never rewatched it because I think it has always been one of those movies I didn't want to revisit in case I didn't like it as much, or in case in case it was different. It just had this perfect sort of space in my history. But then watching it again, I was even more blown away. Maybe, like you said, look, Grana reinvented the zombie franchise. I feel like rewatching it, I'm honestly, is this the most important zombie movie ever made? Like, obviously, there's the Night of the Living Dead that made the genre, and so that'll always be the most crucial in that sense. But in terms of the legacy and impact, and this is easily the second most, I think, and potentially more important for how this then revitalized because zombies became bigger than ever. So we got Walking Dead, which became, even though Walking Dead's not fast zombies, it still made the zombie stuff interesting again. It just became ubiquitous with modern media. And yeah, it's all owed to this scrappy little, basically not an indie film, but almost an indie film. Like low budget, two kind of visionary Brits just making
Yeah.
movies.
I was writing some notes for this movie, and I was overwriting notes from Mission Impossible, and I was putting in the budget, and I'm like deleting 180 million and typing in 8 million and thinking, holy dooly, like it's unfathomable to me, like the difference in budgets between that and the last set of movies we watched, and yet the impact on this from this movie, like I'd say, you know, maybe greater. Like it's just amazing what people with a good idea and that vision can make.
That's right. Yeah, completely.
And I just was like, to go with its legacy, like the term infected, like to describe, you know, this variety of zombie was created by this. And I feel like you see that all over the place now. I remember when it came out, people were like really... There was a bit of debate out there, but like, are these zombies? I think even Garland himself was reluctant to call them zombies.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any strong opinions either way? For me, they're just another variety of zombie. Like, it's just a different take on the zombie genre.
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, like it's hard. I mean, it's the same as, you know, Neil Druckmann saying clickers aren't zombies, and like the infected in Last of Us aren't zombies. Like it's a zombie genre. Like everyone knows what they are, but 100% I can see, and I quite like how different these are. Like never watching these before. This idea that it's like the rage virus, and it's just this like uncontrollable rage that they will just sprint. Like the second they start bashing in windows to get into a house, like it's like a swarm of them just crawling through. Like no matter, like they're just like, I need to get to that to like do this thing that you know, my brain's telling me to do. Where I feel like, you know, you can make a case that they're not zombies. Like it is just this rage virus, and it's just like projectile vomiting, like blood out to try and infect and like spread this rage elsewhere. Whereas, you know, yeah, I don't know.
But then, what is a zombie?
Yeah.
Like, is it George A. Romero's version of the reanimated dead? Is it the original version where the name came from, that was somebody who was drugged up and medicated to appear as if they were dead? Is it like
Rob.
what is that, right? Is it Rob? Is it just our
Yep.
best musician Rob Zombie? Yeah, like we don't know. It becomes a catch-all for a lot of things. I think that's kind of the point. Like, you know, a lot of zombie movies originally were like, you have to destroy the brain, and zombies eat brains. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the joke that everything makes. Yeah, zombies eat brains. Like, when was the last time you saw a zombie movie where they ate brains? I don't know if I've ever seen one. I've seen them eat flesh,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah, you're right.
in none of the ones that people can think of, mostly.
The
With
Simpsons.
the, yes, exactly. That's it's played for gags. It's like everyone knows zombies eat brains, but I don't think they actually do. And yet, that's kind of the. I think at this point in history, more zombie movies do not have brain eating than do, and so I don't know. Does that mean that becomes the most important? Like,
For me, it's like anything that is contagious, whether that's a bite infects you or it's a virus like in the rage that causes you to become like, what's the word? Like you cannot control yourself any longer, and you just must go out and kill. Like it doesn't matter if they're slow or fast or dead, reanimated. Like the key for me is like that it's a contagion basically. Like that's the part that's interesting in a lot of these anyway.
It's like, would you describe I Am Legend, they're zombies?
I think specifically people do.
yeah, even though I think they're specifically not. They're afraid of the dark. Sorry, they're afraid of the light vampire creatures. But
Yeah.
that is considered a zombie movie. Everyone who talks about that thinks it's a zombie film, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's pretty nitpicky to be like they run fast, therefore aren't, or to say they're not actually dead, therefore they're not.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, to me, it's anything that's got the contagion to it. Like say, is like if they bite you, you become one. But even then, I don't know if in The Walking Dead, those zombies, the virus is in the air, everyone's infected, and so again, it's like that actually isn't how zombies work in that property. To me, it's just it becomes like generally it's something that makes people not people, you know. So they're still human beings in some way, and they're still what we know, and it has anything that makes them kill and like they've lost their personal agency, where they just have to kill or eat or feast or do something. That is what a zombie is, and so it could be dead or infected or.
But then like people who are just like junkies, zombies. You know,
A lot of people refer to him sometimes.
That's literally like some the point in some of these movies in some ways, right? Like Shaun of the Dead particularly plays on that. Like, are we not just zombies doing our menial jobs day to day? Like,
yeah, that's exactly So I think that the whole idea of humans without this like idea of sort of like fulfilled agency or free will, where we're slaves to jobs and corporate culture, like that's a zombie. So, like, obviously, you spend all night debating it. I find it really nitpicky when people like they're not zombies, they're infected. I'm like, fuck, they're not. They're just zombies. I agree. Like, let's chill out. Yeah. All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves though. So we need stats.
Stats.
28 days later, made 2002, budget of $8 million, made $82.8 million, has a Metascore of 73. 28 weeks later, sorry, I've lost the year of that. It's 2007. Budget of 15 million, made 72.3 million worldwide, Metascore of 78. And then 28 years later, 2025, budget of 60 million, has made 60 million thus far, it says. Obviously, it's still in cinemas. It's only been open for one weekend.
Right? Yeah.
So very, very early days. So that'll, I think, make some good money. Metascore of 76. So nestled in right between there.
Those Metacritic scores are wild.
What the hell?
Yeah, I was shocked to see 28 weeks with a Metascore of 78. I didn't get the Rotten Tomatoes, but I'm interested now.
Different. I believe 90 something, 70 something, and 80 something now.
Yeah, 73 for weeks. It's the 90 and 90. Seems right. Yeah, that's probably more accurate. Yeah, 78 is strange. I don't know where that number's come from.
I feel like we see this a bit where like the first movie's underrepresented critically, like it's got a lower score but has a big cult following, and then its sequel, even if it's not as good as the first movie, they kind of overcompensate. I feel like we've seen this time and time again. I don't know what causes it, but like the second movie, even when it's not as good, does better than it should.
I had the same thought, is everyone just trying to not make the same mistake that they did with 28 days.
Yep.
Anyway, all right, let's get started then. 28 days later, 4 weeks after a mysterious incurable virus has spread throughout the United Kingdom, a handful of survivors try to find sanctuary in London. This movie looks like shit in a lot.
Yeah, it does. This is the thing about digital photography, right?
Conan, like, I was actually curious in asking you about this. Like, what's your thoughts on the way this film looks? Because a lot of people praise the way it looks and like the fact that how it was filmed, and like that's a strength of watching this movie, and it definitely stands out when you watch it. Like, and it's different.
So it looks like shit. I love it. I love that it looks so bad. I think it makes for such a funny experience. There are some scenes, especially in the opening, that it's like it's running at like 240p. It is really hard to watch a handful of scenes. For most of the movie, it's not. I mean, I really don't think it's a big deal. It really is just kind of like in the opening, because this was shot on this
dark scenes are rough.
Yeah.
This was shot on this like very new digital cameras made for low light shooting, the Canon XL1. And that was why they did it, because they knew they were going to have to film these guerrilla shoots during the mornings on the London Bridge. It was going to be dark. So that way they didn't, because they couldn't afford to shut the bridge down. So they had to kind of do it with some police helping slow traffic down and all this stuff. And there's scenes in there where Cillian Murphy's walking around. You can see people and you can see cars moving. Like, they couldn't even hide stuff because they
really. I was watching and I never picked it out, but I know the story of how they shot it, and I could totally see it being there, but.
There's a scene I remember you can see like someone walking away from the camera, and it's pretty funny. But like, it's all shot in low light, so they needed these cameras to do that. And as a result, they couldn't get a very good resolution. But it really does add this incredible energy to it of like, you are there filming the end of the world. You know, it's like
it feels like a documentary almost, where it's like you feel like an active person that's found this on like a camcorder, or you're recording it and watching these people interact with each other. That's the thing, like that bridge scene I think is very iconic, like Cillian Murphy looking back, and how they did it like is genius, and like I think it does a really effective job where you can't see the strings. There's one shot apparently where you can see the shadow of the cameraman though on Cillian, but Yeah, but it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
it's very impressive.
It is. I love all those shots. They do feel very deliberate in a lot of cases where they're like, they're quite zoomed in on him, or there's a lot of building behind him rather than street. Like, they're playing, they're doing what they have to get the shot. But I think it's so effective, and those scenes just always stood out in my memory of being really cool, and just the story behind how they got them as well.
That's right. Yeah, it really does make you. It kind of has that extra curricular thing where you're thinking, why does this look so bad? Like, what's the problem here? And then, at least for me, I'm straight away like, I need to learn about this. Why does it look this way? And then you sort of give that a new appreciation of like, oh, cool. They would have been on the streets, like filming with little handheld digital cameras. Like, that's really neat. And kind of, Danny Boyle's got a long experience of this, of doing like small budget, gritty films. Like, he's a boots on the ground kind of guy. So it feels really practical, and it just makes so much more sense for a movie like this, a movie that is trying to capture that moment of waking up in the end of the world and you have no idea what's going on. And you're just desperately clawing at what you can get. So you get this pixely camera and you try to film it all.
Yeah. Boys, do you want to get your bingo cards out? Because I think the opening of this movie is unnecessary. The monkeys and the rage virus.
I don't know why the bingo card's here, but yes, I agree with you.
Well, because I thought the trope was that I always point out how bad I didn't like the start of Predator because it shows the spaceship at the start. And
oh yeah, that's true. Actually.
I'm that guy, aren't I? Oh, I thought I was that guy. Our audience will back me up, surely.
A lot of tropes.
You are a lot of tropes. That's true. You do hate openings, actually. Yeah.
I hate openings where they spoil something unnecessarily. Anyway, I think the opening of this movie adds nothing. It's possibly there for framing so they can say 28 days later and then Cillian Murphy hangs dong. But
and boy, does he.
I just don't think it's necessary.
I had this on VHS and they didn't have the dong scene.
Oh,
that's
you missed out.
You're right.
And then I got the DVD and watched it when I was younger. And I was like, "Whoa, what's that?" And something, whatever that awoke in me, we can explore later. But you're right. The opening is it is really kind of effective in terms of it is just you have no idea what's going on. It is nuts, and the camera is all over the place, and there's monkeys screeching, and there's people yelling. But yeah, it kind of works better if he just wakes up and you're like, "What's going on?"
That's the thing. I think having it just, I mean. That's not how Walking Dead opens, is it? Walking Dead opens with the zombie girl, and then it goes to him waking up in a hospital.
It goes to him talking to Shane.
Yeah,
and the
but
cop
then he gets out of the.
How the hell do you guys remember the opening of The Walking Dead? Like, holy shit, that show started 15 years ago.
Big brains. Because then they crash the car and then he wakes up in the hospital.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Obviously, the first episode, he opens up, wakes up in a hospital, walking around. Yeah. Very obviously homage to this or whatever.
Absolutely.
And that's, I think, that would be a very effective thing of just it opening and then him just in the hospital. Like, it is a way to introduce him, like, what? And because then you're also like, what has happened?
Yeah.
Would you then, because obviously, like the scene, you say, like, it's to set 28 days later, is that something they could put in where it's like then it goes back and it's like 28 days earlier and then shows a scene of something?
I think if you really...
It would be unnecessary, but...
If you really felt the audience needed that nudge, when he first meets people, they could say, how did you survive? And he says, 4 weeks ago. Well, what's the date? And he's like, 4 weeks ago I was in a car accident or whatever. Like, there's other ways you could do it if you really needed it, but I don't think we do. I really don't think the audience is that stupid.
Someone asks him the date and they say, no, it's actually 28 days later.
He's like, wait. He's like, my birthday's tomorrow, isn't it? June 1st? I'm like, no. That was 28 days ago.
It definitely feels like one for the audience, just to simplify it and have that title card. And the title cards are cool. I like that every movie has that title card, like in the lower...
Yep.
In the lower right corner.
Each movie has the 28 days exactly part of it as well.
It feels really nice, but you're right. It's pretty unessential. Is that the only thing that's unessential in this movie, though? Is inessential? Unessential? I don't know. Is everything else essential?
Cillian Murphy's facial hair. It's like he glued pubes to his face or something. It's terrible.
I don't think he has any power over what happens in hospital for 28 days. So.
It's still bad facial hair.
Yeah.
No.
Grown up. Conan and I were young men when this came out. Like, I know you were well into your 30s.
I was already growing a
You're
beard
already-
when this movie came
you're already
out.
But you
growing
had a
beards.
big, glorious beard. But for some youngins, it was good to see that.
Look, just set the
representation of-
audience straight. I was like 14 when this movie came out, okay? I'm not that freaking old.
Hair to your knees. 14 years old.
No, it's something that's almost like, I don't know. You don't want all these characters to have perfect beards or like.
No,
that.
no, I'm totally joking. Like, I do think it's bad, but I think... I love all the characters in this movie. Like, I think they're all appropriately shitty and dirty and scungy in their own ways.
So is it like your favorite scene when he shaves? Were you like, yes?
Second favorite after seeing his dong, yes.
Yes. The only scene that could have topped it if he was shaving his dog.
Got a manscape in the apocalypse.
He's there with Selena. He's like, she hasn't seen him. She hasn't had a man in days.
28 days. She's like, I haven't seen a dog in 28 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this movie starts off really strong from the hospital scene on, right? Like there's so many questions. It's ominous. He's got a great hello. Cillian Murphy just like you did at the top, Luke, the hello just keeps calling it out. It's like 6 minutes until we finally get anything else. But he finds the soft drink that he smashes, and then he's just wandering the streets and he like finds money.
Pepsi.
And
Pepsi's everywhere.
Pepsi made some money for this. But yeah, kind of, just exploring the city and everything's gone and there's no answers and just an incredible, like that music kicks in. We were debating this before we started recording the song East Hastings by Godspeed You Black Emperor. And it's just such an incredible atmosphere of like just normal London, but not blown up, not overgrown, not burning, just empty. Just this place, that whole that liminal space phenomenon, things that should be occupied that are now empty, just how eerie that feels. And so many great angles where it's like showing him right in the bottom left of the screen, and you're like, where even is he? He's just irrelevant in this thing. It's like no words, no exposition, just creates a great sense of loneliness.
Yeah.
And then where does he go? He goes to the church, and we get shit going down.
We get the writing on the wall, which is fun, and I don't know. I always think of Left 4 Dead when I see that because Left 4 Dead used that a lot. It's one of my favorite games ever. But yeah, the shit goes down. It's good. I don't know. This movie, like, I don't think there's anything wasted in this movie. I like all of this movie. There is some things that are not as great, but we'll get to them probably. But yeah, the sense of mystery and then meeting people, throwing Molotovs at a gas station. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think it's very effective. The second, like the first infected, like sort of sits up straight and like looks at him like with that sort of like shocked face that they have, where it's really effective of like, oh, what is going on, and then obviously the guy. The
priest?
Main
priest?
The
priest?
Yeah, the priest. The main church.
The god guy?
The god guy. He comes out and, it's a bit of a shit fight. But, yeah, I don't know. It's a really good intro to everything. And just, like, it's a stark contrast once they, like, stand up straight for the first time. It's like, oh, shit's gone real.
Yeah. That's because you're waiting for the shoe to drop, and then when it does, and again, like we hadn't really seen fast zombies before this. We might have seen them in some movies, I'm not sure, but this is easily the first big one that made a impact.
Yeah.
And so to see, like them pop up, and then the priest walking closer and closer, it's like, what the shit, and then gets hit, and then like just the chaos of the angles, right? Like the Dutch angles. You see him leap out of the door and there's a different angle from a weird place and you see other bodies and it's just so kinetic and so frantic and you have no idea really what's going on, but you're just like, oh shit, Jim's gonna die. And then, just these things are like bolting out the doors coming for him and they're like covered in blood and I don't know, like truly some of the scares in this, like the violence in the scares, things like that, the way they move, the way they leap and they hiss.
Yeah.
And there's just like the sudden vomiting, like whenever someone gets infected,
Blood.
and they just kind of like writhe, and there's just like this camera just cuts to them, and there's just this like spray of really thick, nasty blood on the ground. It is revulsive. Like it's so It's just so effective
It is.
that all these moments of horror and this are like scarier than anything else that builds. Um, yeah, I know, it's like amazing use of practical effects and like just what something that is seems so human, but like just feels so alien as well, and just how disconcerting that is. I don't know it. Yeah,
Yeah. And just like even when they're like banging on the doors trying to get in and stuff, like just very visceral, and just the speed at which people get infected as well, like is like I don't know zombie movies. There's always the scene where they're like hiding a bite, right? But like there's no room for that here. Like you get bit, you got to die.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
crazy.
yeah, we get that brief. We get that where Mark is trying to hide a bite. He's like rubbing his arm.
Yeah.
And Selena looks at him, and she's like, Selena, and then he's dead. She hacks him apart. It's like shit. Yeah, I think she said that you got like 20 seconds or something.
Yep.
And that's fucking nightmarish.
Yeah.
Look, you said you liked this, right?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this.
How did you feel like coming at this after seeing all the other? I guess after seeing like zombie movies for the past 20 years, things like Dawn of the Dead, World War Z, stuff where I don't know, maybe this isn't as novel as it is. Like, did you find it in any way kind of reductive, or because it's a pretty simple, basic story, right? It's like survivors in a zombie apocalypse try to survive. Like those are a dime a dozen now.
So funny story. Haven't seen those two films, but on my
man hates zombie movies. What can we say?
on my point, yeah, exactly. No, zombies. I was traumatized as a kid, like from Resident Evil. Probably told this on a long defunct podcast, Bonus XP, but like my brothers traumatized me with like the original Resident Evil games, especially Nemesis, and zombies scared me for a long time, which is probably why I didn't watch this. And I remember like Last of Us was like one of the things that got me back into it, like, okay, I can deal with it because it's Naughty Dog, so I just have to suffer. And now I feel like, and I remember it being a big deal, and I felt like a big boy when I watched The Walking Dead. And I was like, oh, I'm watching The Walking Dead. Like, I'm going to do this, I'm a man. And so, like I hadn't watched Shaun of the Dead until we did the podcast. You know what I mean? So even that, I was like, oh, that's scary. I don't want to watch that. So yeah, I might not have much to compare it to when it comes to running zombies. It's not something I've seen I Am Legend, but it still felt different to me watching this. Obviously it's dated, and like you can like just production wise stuff, some of the stuff isn't as effective because like it's like, okay, this isn't that scary. But as I said earlier, I like the idea of it being this rage virus and what surprised me was just how violent they are, of just like, no, we're just going to chase after you forever until we can like beat you to death, and rip you apart and chew your face off and stuff like that. And just how, like you touched on earlier, how quick people turn, I think is unique to this. I think everything harps on about like hiding and people having cold sweats and all this sort of stuff, or lopping, or people lop limbs off in shows and stuff like that to get rid of the infection. But
stop the spread. Yeah.
Brendan Gleeson in this, like, it drops into his eye, and it's like so unfortunate. It's just like as soon as it happens, it's just like in a few seconds he's ready to rip his daughter apart. Like there's no like he's still in there somewhere, and I can like talk to him. He's just like taken over, and I think it's really effective. And I love zombie stories where it's just like we're going. It's almost a road trip, of characters settling up together, trying to survive, and making a journey from point A to point B for something. That's my favorite game ever, and I really enjoyed the ride in these characters. Like I really like Brendan Gleeson. So as soon as he got involved as well, it was a really good like vibe.
He's such a good character in this movie. Like he's so the dad of the group, looking after everyone, and then like his death is so brutal. Like they finally get to the checkpoint, this thing he's been hoping is going to be their savior. There's no one there. He's frustrated, and then he gets infected, and then the army pops out.
Then they come out. Yeah,
that's just like such a brutal ending for his character. And maybe it is, knowing what we know by the end of the movie, is better that he died there, but just I don't know, such a brutal death for him, and like that character, like they just set him up so well to be loved. Like just so sad when you lose him.
his appearance kind of takes this movie in a whole different direction, right? Because the first act is just the start and survival, and
Yeah.
I'm looking for my parents. He finds his parents are dead. An incredibly sad scene. That
Yes.
note.
The note is really good.
Yeah, we left you asleep. We hope you don't wake up, basically, or something like that. Like,
it's like we've come to join you. Don't wake up. It's like really harsh. But then they meet Brendan Gleeson and Hannah, and then the movie becomes like this road trip sort of found family film.
Yeah.
And I was struck by it where the recurring theme in all these zombie movies, and Walking Dead is the worst culprit of this, is that humans are the real evil, not the infected or not the zombies, right? It's always that humans are really the ones you should look out for. And although this movie then does that in the third act for an interesting reason, I was kind of struck in this, like, they turn up to the apartment complex, they run up, they find Brendan Gleeson in SWAT armor, and straight away he's just like, come on in, I'll give you my finest alcohol that we've got.
Yep.
Sleep here, have some hot water.
Fully.
There's no like mistrust or no sense of like, who are you? Why are you here? There's no sort of like, oh, are there raiders out there? What's going on? Can we really trust? Selena has the moment where she says, we don't need them, but that's just because she's a practical survivor. But there's never this sense of like, should we rob them, or are they going to rob us? You keep guard while I sleep, and we swatch it. It's like this sort of, there's this human trust, this recognition straight away of like, we're both survivors in this situation.
Yeah.
And then this movie like becomes a whole ponderance on humanity. Like there's that shopping scene that's really, really fun where they're running around pretending to be shopping and
irradiated apples, yeah.
And Gleason's got the liquor, the whiskey, and he's like, takes out the fire, leaves in the warmth. And it's just this really beautiful human moment of like these people having fun. And again, there's never a moment of like, oh, what's he gonna do? Is he actually doing dark things with his kid, or is he here to eat me? It's just
there's not even like a zombie lurking in the supermarket, right? Like it's just a shopping spree. Like it's a montage, and that's it.
Exactly, yeah. It's just like this fun, joyous human moment. And it's like, oh yeah, this is really... And that whole section is about that. There's the great tunnel scene where they have to change the tire that is incredibly tense.
Yep.
There's the scene where he stops by that cheeseburger place and kills the child zombie, which I'll have to come back to. But yeah, that whole thing is just like, here's people surviving together. I don't know. I was in the lesser hands. It would be, here's a group of mistrusting survivors, and one of them, Killian's learning that Celine is the only one he can trust. But this isn't about that. This is like, no, this is the story of human beings in that in this situation.
Selena learns that as well. That it's not just about surviving. It's like, it's
That's right. Yeah, because from the very get go, that's her whole thing. She's like, all you can do is survive.
It's all.
And she changes pretty stuff, but yeah. No, really good. Have you guys heard of the whole post 9/11 reading of this? I don't know. Did you guys do any research into it, or?
I didn't research that.
This whole thing came from like the way all good zombie movies are like social criticisms. Night of the Living Dead is all about racism, even though Romero said it wasn't, but it clearly was. Yada yada yada. It's very intentional that this is the rage virus. It's like they saw a world. Garland said he saw a world where everyone's getting more angry, and post 9/11, this feels like a world that an unimaginable tragedy is hit that people never thought could happen, or people in the modern world never thought that could happen, I suppose. And everyone's angry and look for someone to blame, and it's spreading. And I don't know. I think that adds an extra layer. I think that's one of the reasons I would say like this could be the best zombie movie made, because it's
still relevant today.
Very, as of literally this week in history, very relevant.
Even COVID, like you think, put it in the terms of a pandemic or a virus outbreak, and just seemed like there's such a divide with people where, like, even today, 5 years later, people will comment like about something happening to somebody, and they're like, "Oh, were they vaccinated?" Like it's like people are just angry, like about everything, and it's just like,
it feels almost more timely, which is odd.
What did you guys like? We're talking about the road trip section. There's a couple of moments where Cillian Murphy has some dreams. Do you guys feel they were necessary? He dreams about horses, and I don't. They're just Valium dreams. I think
he dreams about sheep.
Oh, is it sheep? Sorry.
Yeah.
I dream about horses.
No, they see the horses. There's that great scene where
That's
they
right.
see the horses running. That the Last of Us then stole the giraffes.
Absolutely.
Neil Druckmann, you dirty thief.
Did it better.
I like that. I like the dream. Where he wakes up alone.
Yeah.
And he sees the sheep sort of running and spinning. There's a lot of Jesus allegories here, like, sheep is like a shepherd without a flock.
Yeah.
Finding salvation in the church, and the church has been corrupted and all this. Like, there is a lot of like underpinning it, and so I think the dream works both thematically, but also his whole fear in this movie is being alone, and like that's why the whole first 10 minutes is him screaming hello, because there's just no one around. And so then that dream of him being alone and abandoned, I think is pretty effective. Yeah. I personally.
Yeah, fair enough. How do you guys feel about Hannah and her performance in this movie? Did it not stand out to either of you as weaker than the rest?
Definitely weaker, yeah. She's
child actors.
And like, it appears to have not done anything since, really, either, acting-wise. Like,
yeah, I meant to look her up. She hasn't had much of a career?
No, not at all, as far as I can see.
Yeah. No, she definitely stands... Yeah, she stands out as being pretty limited.
I mean, call it foreshadowing, but can you ever have a really good child performance in these movies?
It would take 20... Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. We'll come back to that, I guess.
I don't know. It definitely, like, I feel like there's some really strong acting going on between the other three of them. And then add in some more actors at the end, sure. But, she definitely stands out as not pulling her weight, maybe.
It is tough when she's against, like, three of Britain's finest actors, like Brendan Gleeson, Oscar winner Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
And hold her weight. Like, come on, step it up, Hannah.
Yeah.
Look, I'm willing to say I'm being unfair. That's fine. But it stood out.
And Naomi Harris is really good in this. Like, she's,
yes.
I don't know, like a tour de force. Yeah. No, I fully agree. I don't want to be too harsh, but you are right. She's not great in it. Apparently, she fronts a goth pop band.
There you go.
Called Betty Curse. So right on. Good for her.
Good for her. We'll have to check it out.
Doing big things. Anyway.
Yeah. Obviously, acting didn't work out, so probably good. She wouldn't want to hear Groner's criticism.
Yeah, she's listening and she is pissed.
All right, I feel like we've been sidestepping it long enough. The final act, this movie kind of turns on its head. How do you guys feel about the final act?
The humans are really the most evil.
It's a little trite, maybe.
Like, yeah.
It does an effective job, though, that it is the most unsettling part of the movie, really. And it is kind of, they feel more hopeless in this, it feels like, than the rest of the movie sort of thing. And it definitely feels like all the joy is taken away, and innocence sort of thing from this group. And like the vibe is there from the get-go. Like, obviously they kill Brendan Gleeson, but you don't trust him ever. Like, you never trust these guys from the get-go. They've got, the guy chained up as well, which is like, I feel like we see as well a lot in like other zombie stuff as well, of like that trope now. But it is, it definitely takes a turn, and it's like, yeah.
I think Christopher Eccleston like carries it pretty well as giving a reason for it, right? Like, even he seems reluctant to force these men on these women, but he feels like they're the last hope for humanity, and they've got to repopulate. And
that's an excuse. That's an excuse. Obviously.
I'm not trying to justify it. I'm not about to go out and start a sex cult or anything. But
he was just no. But
was Eccleston the hero in this movie?
I do. He was trying to do the right thing. I get what you're saying. Right? I do agree with that. Where even he's like, this is shitty, and he's like, however, I've promised them.
Yes,
like, they're getting like out of control, and like they need this sort of thing, as opposed to him being a fiend or whatever for it. But
because there's that whole speech he gives where he's like, I found one of my boys with a gun in his mouth and he's about to kill himself, because he said there's no future. And so he's like, that's why I promised them women, because women mean a future. And there's this sense of like, are you that desperate to start repopulating and rebuild yet? Or is it just you? Like, he's the leader. This is his family. He's the leader of this group of people, and he needs to keep them alive. And so, if promising them women, for them, it's for more malicious reasons. But for him, it's like he's justifying it, being like, "Oh, we're repopulating. We're doing something altruistic. We're rebuilding the world."
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, in reality, he probably does know that it's just because he needs to give these monsters some food,
some flesh. Yeah.
And he feels yes, he needs to give these angry creatures some flesh. It's almost there's a parallel happening here.
Yeah.
But it's better. Yeah, it's better than just I am the king of this new world and I need to rebuild it. He has a conflict to him, and Eccleston's like charming.
Yeah, he is. You're right. Like, there's some good moments there. Like them, there's that one soldier who's like, "No, we can't do this," and they all turn on him. Yeah.
Musing at dinner about our place in the cosmos. I could relate. Like you guys would turn on me in this apocalypse too, because I'd be like, "Guys, we don't matter," and you'd be like, "Eat him."
Here goes Conan again with his bullshit.
And then we get Cillian Murphy turning into the hunter, right? Like, it's, I don't know. I always enjoyed that moment where he kind of turns. Yeah.
Incredible showdown where, very clearly crosses the lines of what is a monster, where he's more of the monster than the others, and he's stalking them, and you never he looks like an infected without his shirt on and covered in blood.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the thumbs in the eyes.
Yeah, thumbs in the eyes. I think it would have been more effective if, as he was like stalking them and hunting them down, he was just like, "Hello," and they're like running from him, like, "Oh my god, he's here!" He's like, "Hello."
He's trying to make connection.
Connect to the start of the movie.
Yeah.
The other thing that's always stood out to me at the end there is where she gives her Valium. She's like I can't stop them from doing this, but I can make you not care. And I'm just like,
make you not care.
She's like, this is a dire moment, right?
Yeah. She's like, are you trying to kill me? And she's like, I'm not trying to kill you. I'm just making you not care.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's brutal. Like, it feels really visceral. That stuff.
Griner will tell you it was obvious Hannah didn't care. So
she does get that great moment there where she's stoned and she's like, I think they're all dead, or whatever she says. Like, she's taunting him because she's got no fear. She has a pretty good moment there.
And it is funny because, like, her lack of acting range kind of works there because she doesn't have to do much.
She's stoned. Yeah.
Good choice. Good choice.
That's why they chose her. They were like,
I was like, add the Valium in last minute. Just get her to stop trying. What did you think of that scene where the chained up infected they have runs up to the mirror, right? And he sort of looks at himself. And there's like a moment, Hannah's behind the mirror, and the infected's like staring, and he's kind of looking and coming closer, and then he runs off. How did you guys read that?
My opinion of zombies is they should never have any sentience. Like, this is my hot take on zombies, is I hate when movies try, and we might get into this in another of these movies, but try to give them some sort of sentience or some sort of plan or hierarchy or is it Land of the Dead where they start using payphones and shit? I hate that movie. I can't stand it. Drives me.
Well, hi. First of all, Land of the Dead's fantastic. I don't know if they use payphones. They use guns. They figure out how to use guns.
Yeah, no, fuck that movie. It starts off with them using a payphone.
I'm super curious to know how, your thoughts on 28 years later then. But
yeah, we'll get there.
We will. Okay. So you don't like them having any sort of trace of their humanity still?
No, not personally.
Luke, retort.
I've never been like such a hater of that idea. But I can't really say I've seen much in it, but it depends what you mean. Like, if there's a zombie father and he sees his daughter and he's like, snap out of it, like, no. And he's like starting to do that. And
yeah,
I mean, but I like maybe even in the early stages, like there's a struggle. I enjoy that of like, that person is still in there and it hasn't fully taken over their brain. And it's like, and sorry to keep bringing it up, but like Last of Us, I feel like the early stages infected in that, like, it's like they're pained, like there's, like they're mumbling to each other, like themselves and stuff like that. And they're like fighting against themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I think for me that's the difference between infected and zombies as well. Like if someone comes back from the dead and they're a zombie and then they're still partially themselves, I'm like no. Like you do not do that. But I still don't like it when they're infected and like I'm okay with like during the periods of infection, particularly with the rage virus where it starts off and they get really angry but they're kind of still in control. But then it takes over and they should be zombies after that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Conan, what's your read
Just
on,
in the interest
on
of
him
time,
looking in the mirror?
Yeah, I think it can be either or, right? It can be he's just like he's seen something and he can't figure out if it's an infected or a human, and so he's kind of trying to read it. He's like, "What am I looking at?" Or it could be there's this moment because Eccleston has the speech in the garden where he says, "What do I learned by watching him that he'll never bake bread, that he'll never write songs, he'll never be a person again."
Yeah.
And it feels like there's kind of a brief rebuttal of that, of like there is still some trace of maybe there's still a trace of who he was in there, and so Eccleston is wrong in his assessment. Or it could just be a really cool moment where you're like, is he going to eat Hannah? And then he doesn't.
Maybe what if he started
The other question I had
mirror?
that little lingers.
Like he starts biting the glass.
That would be cool. He like attacks the mirror.
Yeah. He just thinks there's another person, so he tries to eat the mirror.
Well, no, because they don't eat other infected, which is another good question. Like, how does the virus know they're not infected? Anyway, the other question I had is when he back at that gas station, Cillian Murphy goes in looking for cheeseburgers, so he says. Makes no sense. Cheeseburgers would be rotten after 28 days. But he goes there.
Irradiated cheeseburgers.
True, that'd be okay. But he goes in there and this kid attacks him and he sort of holds him down. Before he kills him, you hear someone say, "I hate you." There's like this distorted mutter of a voice say, "I hate you." Did you guys pick up on that?
Yes. That's actually How did that not strike out to me? Because it basically is like the kid says, "I hate you," isn't it?
I don't think it explicitly shows. It's like, is it the kid saying that, or is it a memory, or is it an imagining, or is it some? I don't know. Like, because it's definitely a kid's voice, but like it's frantically shot, and so you never see his mouth clearly move. So it's like, is Jim imagining this happening, or is the kid still saying it? And then again, I don't know. It's all these questions of that.
We do see it in other places where the infected kind of, shows some signs of the rage that they feel against whatever they're attacking. Not like I'm sure there's another moment where they speak, but it's when they're first. I think it's Robert Carlyle actually in the second one when he first becomes infected.
Yeah, there's a little bit of it in that one, but
they don't talk.
We can
I'll say something.
No, it is odd.
The only thing that would make sense is he didn't go in there for cheeseburgers. He went in there because he was like, I remember coming here like a month ago, and there was this little kid that was a prick to me. And like,
I hope he's there and I can kill him.
He's like, he remembers this kid being like, I hate you, and so he's like, I hope he's in there so I can kill him.
It's like, well, you're a zombie, you little turd.
Yeah. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's
some good subtext there. That's canon. All right. Is there anything else we forgot to mention about 28 Days Later?
Happy ending. How do you guys feel about that?
With hello written.
Yeah.
I like it personally.
It doesn't lend itself well to sequels, although I think they handle it okay. No. But yeah. It's an interesting choice. Right. I feel like they probably could have ended it before that moment potentially, and I would have been okay with it too.
Originally, they planned to end it at that scene where they hit the fence and like freeze frames on them lunging forward.
That's right. Yep.
I think is a really weird scene.
Nah, I don't like
it's a weird scene. But they added this on at the end. I think it really works because I think this movie is actually pretty positive, despite all the horror and the tragedy. I think it's actually got a pretty optimistic view on humanity.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's saying that all humans are scum and all we can do is survive till we die. I think it's pretty much saying, like, most people are mostly good. We can all get angry and kill each other at times, but underneath that,
I think the main thing of it as well is like, the rest of the world's okay. Like, it seems like, it's pretty much the UK that's...
Yeah. We get the planes every now and then too, which is kind of a nice touch.
Yeah, the plane's like a cool touch that life exists out there, and really, we probably shouldn't be all like, well, we need these women as slaves to repopulate the planet because like life's actually pretty normal everywhere.
Planet's doing fine.
It's just old London that's a bit,
it's just us. That's Manchester's burning. That's no great loss, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a reading on this that like that ending is sexist because it reinforces a world where Selena is forced into domestic servitude while Killian sleeps, and I'm like, man,
I provided for him, you
know. He saved him. He's owed a sleep in every now and then.
Exactly.
All right, let's go 28 weeks later then. 6 months after the rage virus was inflicted on the population of Great Britain, the US Army helps to secure a small area of London for the survivors to repopulate and start again. But not everything goes according to plan. Oh no.
Oh no.
Who would have thought?
Is this like the shittest military like ever to like?
No, it's the American military. Oh.
Like at like day one of like we're bringing people back in. They just like these two kids just like, oh, let's go out of the zone where the zombies are, like straight up, like, oh, let's go back to our old house. Everything we've just been told, and it seems like it takes them a long time to be able to capture these kids, considering a sniper spotted them as they're leaving. It took them a while to catch up to them. Like they have a pretty fun-filled day before the military finally get there.
It's pretty bad.
Because they're like, oh, we've got 2 strays. It's like, oh yeah, cool. I'll keep an eye on them. It's like, you're not going to stop him. You're just going to let him go and then get him.
And he's like 2 seconds later, he's like, "Yep, they're out of my sight now. I can't see them."
I will say, like, I remember not liking this movie, and then watching it. Man, that opening is so effective. Like, as a way to continue this series after the ending of the first movie, like. Showing some moments during the infection and Robert Carlyle like leaving his wife behind, like holy shit, really good moment. And then just introducing people back into England, like that's a great way to continue this series, in my opinion.
Yeah, great concepts. Yeah, the opening scene is like one of the all times, honestly. Like when you think of best opening scenes in movies, I think this is in the conversation. It's funny because I think Danny Boyle directed parts of that as well.
Yeah, right. Okay.
It's kind of like, that's why it's so good because like,
just
I'll say for.
Sorry, I'll just say like survivors in the dark, like they've just closed off everything from the outside, and like they're just sitting here. They've got comfort, like they're making dinner, and it's like the same thing over and over again. And like, I don't know, it's something very post-apocalypse about like them surviving. And then just for the second they let something in, like they let the kid in. Everything just goes to shit. Like the boards all are suddenly ripped apart, and it's like everything's over. And him making that choice of, oh, do I get ripped apart with my wife and this random kid we let in, or do I leave her because I still have kids elsewhere? Like it's much like, you can't blame him, but it's also that's the hardest thing to make.
This is my hot take. Don's not wrong. All right, Don did the right thing here. Okay, Alice runs for the kid. He says, "Don't."
Random kid.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe he's infected. Maybe he's a raider. Yeah. So she runs after this kid, and infected gets right between them. As we've established, like he's lost his reg. They're not going to survive that. He's not going to be able to like punch on with this infected and survive and get her back.
Yeah.
What else is he supposed to do? I'll distract the zombie, and then you get past him as well to this door. Like,
save the random kid, please.
Yeah,
so our kids can lose both their parents.
It might be I think it's the right choice, but it's still a selfish choice, right? Like, I think it can be both.
Is it not selfless? He gives up his wife to be able to look after his kids and
potentially, maybe you could read it that way. Sure, okay.
Like, I think this is a really interesting dilemma because the whole movie is hung up on this idea of like Don's a monster.
Yeah.
And what this does with his character is really strange, where it makes him basically a slasher villain, where he starts stalking his kids, and he is like this great source of evil that really like literally like it's basically saying this guy's
everything.
Yeah, this guy's selfish actions doom an entire country, and like. It's a really strange thing to do with his character, especially because he does something that, you're right, is questionable because like you've let your wife die, But there are times when what else are you supposed to do?
You're right, but like I guess in the language of a movie, what is the right choice in that? It's save the kid, to save this random kid that just turned up, right? Like that's the good and honourable thing that would happen in another movie, right?
And,
I guess,
but further to that, 100%. He's not the bad guy, and like I don't know. Further to that, he's surprisingly honest with his kids. He's not like, oh, something happened, and he says like, I couldn't, like, I saw her get, attacked, and like I couldn't do it, as opposed to being like, oh, this happened, and I feel like he's very honest with his thing. Like I had to leave, like I had to leave basically, and then they're like, you're an asshole, Dad. She's alive, and it's like, kids, like you made this outbreak. You had to sneak out on the day one of like repopulating London. Gee.
That's right, because they're like, he says, I saw her die, and we see her get pulled away from the window by infected. Of course you assume she's dead. What else are you going to assume? Maybe she's okay? Of course not. We just see the whole house get torn apart. Like,
these kids weren't there, man. They don't get it. Like, the world went to shit.
That's right. Yeah. It's like you're right that the movie shorthand is kind of saying, "Oh, this was wrong of him to do," but
yes,
it really, I don't know. I feel like, especially after the first one, where the first one is a very practical movie, like in the first one there is no gallant sacrifices. Characters plead and yell for each other to help, and everyone is like willing to, but also they're like. Selena's dragging Jim up the stairs in some scenes because he's begging her not to. Like, they're pretty practical. They're not no one's leaping forward and doing noble things. And this to then be like, he should have shielded his wife from these infected who will tear people apart in a moment. It's like, it really put me off on this second time. I'm like, he could have done that in so many other ways. Like, he could have actually made it clear that he sacrifices her, that he did something selfish.
We'd all do the same, right? We would all do.
He could have pushed his wife into an infected to get away, right?
Yeah. And save the kid. Come on, kid.
You're the future now.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like this movie falls apart after that. Like,
yes, the first half is interesting, and then,
I had my Jeremy Renner app out, and I was all for him, but he's so boring in this movie, right? Like.
He plays Jeremy Renner in two podcasts in a row, but
I know.
It's
a great premise though.
The thing, the repopulating, like transitioning them back, like I don't know. I found it when they're going through like the timeline of what happens. Them saying, "Oh, at 5 weeks they starved." I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, that's actually really cool that like in this world, the zombies starve to death and like they're not there anymore. And it's I actually find it super interesting that she doesn't turn because of like this weird, condition that genetic condition she has, and found that super fascinating. Man, it took me by surprise when like she kisses him, he turns, and then like I was expecting him to get shot before he like harms her, like while she's on the bed, for her to come back as just the way to reintroduce the virus, and then she gets ripped apart, and gets her eye as gouged out. I was like, holy shit! I was not expecting this at all. Like, it's brutal. Like he killed her twice. Really?
he really takes her time with it as well. Like he really, really destroys her.
Yeah.
And it's this strange thing where it feels like it's trying to be like. It's trying to say that he has always been angry at her and he's finally now expressing his rage. But again, I'm like, what? That has never been established. He was a really nice husband in the house. He was like, you're cooking my favorite. You're great. Let's have some wine together.
Same food every night.
That's right. Supportive, good guy Don. And then it's, that whole scene is really strange and like just kind of really unpleasant and nasty for no reason. Of like, why is he just completely destroying her? And there's so many bad shots.
Not my Don.
Not my Don. Like, where is the security going? Why is nobody guarding the
I know.
Awful security. Like, this whole military thing is just truly awful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Idris
a
Elba
real
needs to be hung for this. He's done a terrible
Yeah,
job.
he's a general, not doing well. It's a
And then
shame, yeah, great, because it's a great idea, and then just to have it be like, it's really slow leading up to it, where it's kind of like, what's the mystery of the kids? Are they going to find out about the mum? And then when it does finally get answered, yeah, it's just there's a lot of bad plot contrivances. Like, let's lock all the people in a dark car park. That's a
Yep.
good idea. And so then
Yep.
obviously everyone gets in. Just all these really silly choices. Like, no one. Yeah, this is incompetent even for the U.S. military, but
like,
it's
they're literally like, let's get everyone we just brought back in infected. Let's get them all infected, and then let's have our 5 snipers shoot them all, and
yeah,
to contain
yeah.
it, as opposed to let's get all of the survivors away from the infection.
Well,
It's like, no, let's do this.
I mean, it's established that they starve in 5 weeks. Let's not just get on a helicopter, pick up our 5 guys, and get out of here and wait another 5 weeks, right? Like, why even do anything? Just leave.
Yeah,
That's right.
know.
Yeah. They say boots on the ground. They needed to save them, but
Yeah.
but and then they firebomb the city. Doesn't kill
yeah, and
Dom
that's it.
still. My man, he's a survivor.
He's hanging on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That scene is kind of cool, the firebombing, but I don't know. Yeah, then it's just a shame. Like this, so it's worth noting this movie is not directed by Danny Boyle, not written by Alex Garland either.
Yep.
So written and directed by this Spanish guy, Juan Carlos Fresnadillo. Hasn't really done anything else remarkable. He did Damsel, the Netflix movie in 2024, which was a big hit for Netflix. But like I think this was one of his. This was his first film, and although it's like this movie has some good stuff in it, it's just really lacking both the style, like it really lacks Danny Boyle's style and his creativity and his practical filmmaking sense, and it's lacking all of Garland's like thematic, humanistic, and
Human
philosophical
elements.
ideas.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yes, yeah. Like all the characters are bad. There's no real interesting ideas of what it's saying about. Like this follows a really clear narrative continuation of literally what would happen 28 weeks later. This.
Yeah.
And oh no, the virus gets out again. It's like, okay, we sort of already knew that. And later on in the series, the next movie does really interesting stuff with like what does a sequel look like? It actually raises new questions and stuff. This just kind of has none of that. It's just like it's a very literal movie about here's what would happen. And it's kind of like who cares?
Like Jeremy Renner literally is just like sniping people who haven't turned yet, like innocent people, like men, women, all that. He's just sniping them, whatever. And then all of a sudden he's like, I've had enough of this, and now I'm going to be like the hero that saves the people, as opposed to just I'm getting out of dodge. He's like, I've shot enough innocents. Now.
Yeah. You asked me to snipe one too many innocent people. I'm turning on you now.
That last one, nah. Like he probably would have sniped the kid if it was like 2 seconds later. But yeah. But he's
Maybe
like,
he should have. He
It's
should
like
have sniped Andy.
I mean, zombie media has a history of this. Last of Us 2, where you spend the whole game murdering hundreds and hundreds of people, and then you let the last person go, the one you've been fighting to kill this whole time.
spoilers, man. That's crazy.
Crazy.
Spoilers.
Ludonarrative dissonance, right
Yep.
there.
Big problem.
Oh no, I haven't heard that word in a few years. Yeah, Harold Perrineau is the helicopter pilot that's got his relationship with him. That's a pretty cool scene where he tries to save him out by like the Ferris wheel or whatever it is. And uses this is Mission Impossible again. Uses the helicopter blade to take them all out. What a pilot!
To explode 1,000 zombies. Yeah.
I'm not sure that's an approved way to fly a helicopter. Like I'm pretty sure that'll mess your helicopter up. But
or an effective way to kill zombies where their blood will infect you. Like that's putting blood everywhere.
Yeah, true.
There are some hard and fast playing with those rules where people get blood over their faces after killing a zombie, and they're like, "Did it get on you?" It's like, "Don't worry, it's not in me." Anyway,
It didn't reach any orifices. I'm fine.
Go in my nostril.
Yeah, it's like So I don't know, but really good cast in this movie as well. Feels like it's a little bit wasted. Like Idris Elba,
Rose Byrne, yeah,
Rose Byrne, young Imogen Poots, I think like one of her first roles. Robert Carlyle's always fun. But yeah, not great. I really liked this movie when I saw it coming like way back. I did not like it nearly as much this time.
It feels very 2007.
Mm.
Like it feels like a real 2007 movie. Even like it's kind of brutal. Like even the way they take out Rose Byrne's character as well. Like it's almost like not like it's kind of a nothing death where they're walking down this zone and Robert Carl Don comes out again and just beats the shit out of her with the gun.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and then doesn't kill the kids for some reason. I just don't get what he's doing with it. Like he is stalking his children, but
He's
he
making
doesn't
sure
kill
they're
them.
safe. He's always looked out for them. Their better interest.
Okay. Yeah, just really weird choices with his character.
And then we get the final scene of the virus in mainland Europe, in Paris.
Yes, I can't wait to see how that comes into the next one.
Again, another add-on. Like the original version never had this. They added it on last minute because I think they wanted to continue it into a franchise. Which,
it's a pretty gloomy ending of like, oh, the kid got out. Will he create a cure? And it's like, nah, they just cause the infection to spread to Paris.
I guess, like, what happened? Did he bite somebody? Did he get there? He's like...
He probably made out with someone.
Yeah, he grew up and started dating and then, yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. How's that for a first date? Not good.
Yeah.
All right.
Spreading diseases on your first date.
I've heard of STIs before, but sheesh. All right.
This is next level.
So this is why we're all here. 28 years later, a group of survivors of the rage virus live on a small island. When one of the group leaves the island on a mission to the mainland, he discovers secrets, wonders, and horrors that have mutated not only the infected, but other survivors. We're going to spoil this movie entirely. Needs to be spoiled to really talk about.
Yeah.
You guys are super positive on this movie.
So, obviously, critical reception, it seems to be very high, like in the 90s on Rotten Tomatoes, and
Yes.
this has a score similar to 28 Weeks Later on Metacritic, so it's obviously very high. Like audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is like 68%.
Divisive.
I didn't realize it was that low.
Movie.
Yeah, right.
I did not realize either. And then more people that I've seen do Letterboxd reviews, I'm like, am I the only one that loved this movie? Like, I really loved this movie and came out of it really positive. And I keep seeing people middling. Obviously, we'll discuss the ending, and there's a tonal shift that a lot of people either seem to love or hate.
Yep.
And that's cause for a lot of the division. I loved this movie. I really, really dug this movie. I'm keen to go see it again. I was kind of captivated by this movie. Like, I actually hadn't watched anything of this movie, like no trailers or anything like that.
The trailer's so good.
It is good, yes, you're right.
I've gone back and watched the trailers now, and I'm like, oh wow, those trailers are really good. The only thing I'd really seen was like, Cillian Murphy out in a sunflower field. Poor guy. Everyone thought it was Cillian Murphy, but even like to the point, I went to the cinemas like a month ago, and this second trailer started playing, and I was sitting there, and like I watched like the first 20 seconds. I was like, what is this? I was like, what is this movie? And then when I realized it was 28, I was like, oh, I literally covered my eyes. So I was sitting in the cinema. Other people could have just seen me. I was sitting there covering my eyes like, no. And so I heard the trailer. I didn't watch it because I was like, I don't want to see anything of this movie. And all I heard was that radio frequency, the poem Boots, which is so damn good and effective in that trailer, and so
very ominous,
like so well used in this, where I haven't been able to get that poem out of my head for the last week. Like I'm walking around and my wife's like, stop. She's like, stop. I mean, she's haunted. Like she's got, like generational trauma from like her granddad that was in the war or something. She's like, I hate hearing that. It gave me like traumatic. I'm like walking around like stuck in my head. I really, really like this movie, and as I said, I didn't know anything about it, didn't watch it. So I went into this not knowing this was the first of a new trilogy, and that like the next one comes out in 6 months' time. So like the next day after I watched it, when I was like going online and I started reading this, I got so pumped because I was like, what? I was like, how did I not know all this stuff exists, that like it's already announced this is the next one? And yeah, like I love this. I really, really like this movie. That's me.
Ryder?
I like this movie a lot. I think I think it's got a lot of problems, but I like. I mean, my Letterboxd review, if we're going to talk about it, like, you know, I think they were just like, here's some cool shit we can do. And so they do the cool shit, and some of that cool shit is really cool, and I liked watching it. Other ones don't work so well, and you know, as a movie, it feels pretty disjointed, I think.
Mm. Yes,
and part of that, I think, is them trying to set up for sequels. Like that is a big part of why it feels that way, I think. But I think it, you know, it weakens this movie somewhat.
Yeah, Luke, like you said, where you watch the trailers and you're like, what is this? And it's kind of, I remember leading up to it as like they were very strict about not revealing anything, not revealing any reception, any plot details. They were really cautious. And watching it, yeah, it's like this is 3 entirely different films mashed together with one through line character. Like Aaron Taylor Johnson disappears for the last 80 minutes. He is not in the movie except for one small scene.
Yeah,
and then the second act literally starts where it like cuts away. And you know, you could almost be like, meanwhile, and then it shows the Swedish military guys getting killed.
Yep.
It's like an entirely different thing, a whole different part. Like, it's such a bold choice to just be like, this is not a narrative continuation. This is, you know, in the opening scene, they basically retcon and say 28 weeks later never happened.
Yeah. They're able to drive
the zombies were driven away from the mainland Europe. Yep. Nice job. Good work.
To England.
It was that easy. England is so weak. It was that easy for Europe to do it. You never should have Brexited. It's your own fault.
Well, make a note of that. This movie's got a lot of Brexit on its mind. And so they kind of drive that back. I'm like, this is it. It doesn't care about the narrative of really what's happened for the last 27 years and 330 days. It's just like, no. What does England look like in a separatist post-apocalyptic world? And that kind of works in a lot of ways. It works, but yeah, it's got some problems still there. I really want to love this movie because every reviewer that I respect, every critic and assessment that I really admire has adored it, has sung its praises, has really revered it. And I want to love it so much more than I do. Who?
Is that including me? Am I one of your favorites?
It does. When I saw you give it 9, I was like, yeah, I want to love it too, because I was expecting you especially to hate it. And so I was really keen for it. But yeah, there are problems there that I'm like, they irk me a little bit. But the swings it makes are really cool. Basically, great. There's just so many good ideas at play that it was mesmeric watching it. Where even when I'm like, I don't know what's going on or why it's going on, I'm just. Like Boyle and Garland, they bring out the best in each other so well. Like Garland has some problems as a director, but he's an incredible writer. And Boyle has made some shitty films where they're bad scripts. But like these movies, Sunshine, they are kind of the perfect pairing, I think, where they have just like the human sense and the practical sense. They know how to get the best out of each other. So.
Yeah. So for me, like the opening act, you know, the part that's centered on Aaron Taylor Johnson and what's his son's name? Jimmy. Like that's a really compelling segment. Like if the whole movie had just continued on with that and not veered away from that, I think I would have been a lot higher on this movie. That's my opinion. Like, you know, seeing Aaron Taylor Johnson and his relationship with his son and teaching him how to you know, kill zombies and go to the mainland and scavenge for food, all really, really interesting. They even set up little things like they find that zombie I suppose it was a person hanging upside down with the Jimmy carved on their torso. Like that sets up a nice mystery that if you want to continue that in a sequel, like I'm keen for that, or have that elaborate a little bit. But like I know I said before I don't like when the zombies have some sentience or changes, but I actually kind of enjoyed you know, the ones on the ground eating the worms. I related to those guys a lot.
Different and then different evolutions.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about the alphas. They make me feel small.
Very
very
makes me feel insecure.
Pringle cans.
Got nothing.
There's a lot of dong in this movie.
It's just like, there's so much dong in this film. I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about like, you know, having this, you know, there's some sentient action controlling them. I guess that does bother me.
So, yeah, It's definitely a bit of a diversion from the infected in the previous films. Obviously, like its whole tagline and even on the poster is like it's evolved. Like this virus has evolved over 28 years. Like it's had to learn to survive. It can't just do what it was doing because it was being in all the rage. It just burnt itself up, like metabolism wise, even. I like the different thing. Like at the start, because obviously they don't really fully explain it. I was just like, why are there fat ones? Like they all starved before. Why are these ones fat? Like where are they getting all these bodies from? But like the fact that they're crawling along and they'll eat anything. Like him eating the shoelaces, thinking it's worms, like is funny. So a few things I want to touch on. Like I completely agree. Is a disjointed film, and it does feel like two separate films. I really enjoy everything with Aaron Taylor Johnson and the son. Like that's what I thought the whole movie would be. Like growing up. And like I was here for that and I really enjoy that. And then, when he goes away and then it's the story of him and his mother and getting to the doctor and all that sort of stuff, where I kept waiting for Aaron Taylor Johnson to come back. I was like, okay, when's he going to come up? And I felt like this whole thing of him traveling with the mum was this short little like journey of them two before or then introduce into everything else that we'd had in the first half. And we don't get that. We really do just get a second movie that's about their journey. Now, obviously, we'll have to see how it all goes once we get the whole trilogy. Obviously, Aaron Taylor Johnson will be back, and that will continue on with that. And so it does feel disjointed, and so I guess you could say it doesn't work like that, but as a whole, though, I enjoy everything that's there. Like was captivated throughout. I'll still say, like, man, the Alpha chasing them on the water, and then running back to the village, it's one of the most tense scenes. Like, man, like I was clenched like crazy. I was like, oh my God, this is intense. And it's so ominous, like just how fast he's running, the size of him in every way. And I really enjoyed that. Again, like the boots radio frequency as they're going out, like there was something about this that was captivating, especially like the first hour that I was along with it. And then I really like the introduction of the Swedish soldier and that like the world is normal outside of this. Like, Spike being like, "What's wrong with your girlfriend's face?" Like, it's just like was really funny. I alluded to it earlier, but Alfie Williams, who plays Spike, is an amazing actor. Like,
oh, okay. I thought you were going to go the other way.
No, I was saying like, you can't have good child actors, but you really can because he is phenomenal in this film.
Yeah, he's really good.
And Ralph Fiennes, as soon as he's in it as well, I'm so on board for him, and he's awesome. Like I just enjoyed everything that's in here, despite how disjointed it is.
Yeah, like, I was entertained the entire time. I think that initial section between when Spike and Jodie Comer leave and before they find Ralph Fiennes, that whole little stretch I found a little bit kind of
definitely the weakest in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even though it's really fun when the Swedish guy appears, and then like that scene where we see him and his surviving friends go on the thing and the Alpha jumps them and he gets out, is really scary. And then you obviously get the really interesting question of the baby getting born. There's a pregnant infected.
Get out of here with that.
What? Yeah. What is up with that? I feel like we need to talk about that.
Oh yeah, that's the biggest question. I know, Grata, you're angry at this. You're angry.
I don't need.
Yeah, the Alpha has a big dong. He can do things.
But this thing. What's the story? Was this a heavily pregnant woman who got infected?
Has to be.
Yeah, surely it's not the Alpha's impregnated and infected.
Why can't it be? He's an Alpha. That's what Alphas do in animal behavior. They breed with the pack, with the brood mares.
Possibly.
It's animal behavior, and these like. The whole evolution is that these things are sort of animals now, right? They're reverting to something less than human. But also they are still human. And there's a really interesting subtext there about Brexit and England trying to be isolationist and the idea of alienating other people, yada, yada, yada. But I don't know. There is no clear answer. But it could be the Alpha. It could just be the Alpha having it. Because in the train after she dies, after the soldier kills him and the Alpha fucking tears his head off with his spinal cord. There's the moment where the Alpha comes into the train and looks at her, and it's almost like he's looking at him going, "Oh, where's my baby?" there's not just this sense of you are nothing to me. There is a sense that he looks at it in recognition as like you were cooking my baby, or you were my my mate. I don't know.
He then hunts him down as well. Like,
Until our boy.
Till he gets put to sleep. Yeah, I'm super curious to see whether they. I mean, surely they have to pick that thread up again in the following movies, right?
Baby's going to be a very important part, I reckon. It has to be.
We'll see, because
baby grows up to be Cillian Murphy.
They basically forget about her or him. They forget about them like totally.
Well, they take it back to.
He takes it back and then, but like the baby doesn't do anything that whole time, right? Like,
what do you want it to?
They give it some water, which I'm like, don't do that. You're going to kill the baby. But other than that, like,
yeah, river water as well.
It's pure river water now. Without human interaction, the world is
the water turned to breast milk.
Hey, Ralph Fiennes acknowledges that it's not going to keep it alive.
No, I know.
It's one of those things. It just asks questions, and he's Fiennes writes it off with like the magic of the placenta.
Yes,
it's like, hey, maybe the placenta does do some pretty dope shit. So maybe it does keep the infection at bay. We don't know. And it just raises a lot of interesting questions, of humanity, and how there is again a moment of recognition where she and Jodie Comer hold hands to get through childbirth. I'm like, okay, there is some humanity through this, that even though these things are reverting to a more feralistic state, the most human thing of all is childbirth. And so there's a recognition there almost of, and like that's, again, I don't know, part of my issue is I don't know what that idea is, besides, like you said, Grider, it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
See,
that's my problem.
I can be on board for most of the stuff in this movie, and like I'm fine with the pregnancy, I'm fine with the baby. I'm keen to figure out what that's from and like what that means. The infected, like dialing down the rage and holding hands with her, I'm not about.
Not about
that takes me out of it. Like, I don't think the infected should have that moment of like, no, this baby needs to be born. Thank you for helping me do it. And then all of a sudden it's like, bah! Like, if anything, it should be a raging monster that's trying to bite her, but still giving birth.
Yes,
like,
I agree.
It shouldn't be like, okay, let's have this nice tender moment. Like with this, it's just, I don't know. I agree. I was like, I sat there and it took me out of the moment where I was like, oh, this is weird. What are they doing? I don't know about this. You enjoyed that moment, Conan?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just it's a choice. It is like a big swing of like, what is he saying here? I don't know, but it's interesting. And like so, I actually don't know if they will really unpack that in the third one. The second one especially, I think, is going to be much more concerned with Jimmy and that whole crew. But maybe in the third one they'll come back to this. I'm not sure, but I don't know. Yeah, like. I feel like this movie is trying hard to be read as like a subtext, as a social critique of post Brexit Britain. Like, it's trying hard to say this is literally a colony of British people living on an island separate from the rest of the world and separate from the infected world. And they've reverted to their ways. They're brewing their own beer. They're having their own rituals and their rites of passage. And it is very much. In that sense, like, we can be self-dependent. We don't ever go on the mainland except for this one thing because we don't need the rest of the world. And as you see, that's not the case. There's things on the world that you do in the mainland of the rest of the world that you do need. So a Britain post-Brexit is not sustainable. And I like all that subtext to it. But again, I don't know if it's, I think it comes at the cost of sometimes some narrative coherence. Like there's a lot of contrivances in this that piss me off. Things like, they get saved a lot. The soldier saves them just in time at the gas station. Ralph Fiennes turns up just in time to sedate Samson. Jimmy turns up right at the end to save him from them. The slug zombie in the church gets killed right before, like, Jodie Comer just awakes at the right time to kill it and stop it from eating Spike.
Even escaping the Alpha, like it they managed to kill it just at the last moment they possibly could. Like, yeah, you're right.
What close calls. What a close calls. That's life. It's life, man.
I guess
not really. Most people are not that lucky, right? Like,
no. And most people,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I'm really curious to see where they go with the island as well. Like, I feel like they hint at some more sinister things going on beneath the surface somewhere along there. Like, there's the weird masks and but they don't elaborate on it. I'm hoping we get more of that in the sequels, like, because that I would have watched a movie about that because I was really keen to see where that was going.
That's it, yeah. Because it hints at like a lot of folk horror vibes. It keeps showing that. It shows that mask like 3 times, but it never does anything with it. It just shows somebody standing there wearing it.
Yeah,
and it was in the trailers as well. So it's like, yeah.
And so it's like, okay, is this some sort of like festival rite you do? Is it some sort of like Burning Man? You dress someone up and shoot arrows at them. And the whole first act feels a bit rushed in that. Like it feels like it's including a lot of ideas. Like it's bringing in that idea, and it's Spike's turn from I'm really scared and can't kill an infected to I'm going to burn down a house to escape and save my mum on the mainland. Like that happens really suddenly. And so the whole first act, I feel like that could have been its own movie. And arguably would have been, maybe it would have been better, but it would have had a lot less interesting ideas probably. But yeah, there's a lot going on there that they don't unpack that. Maybe when we do the next version, we'll love it.
Yeah. Do they ever make it clear what they're seeking on the mainland? Like what they're lacking that they're trying to go there to get?
They say they go there for fuel, like they're cutting down trees.
True, they do. They do say that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the only thing I picked up on. Like it's literally like a rite of passage. Like get your first kill, so you can survive, and you can hunt. Maybe they're hunting deer, maybe because there's a lot of deer around. Yeah, but he references the trees at one point.
So 2 things as well. Like I really liked how old world this felt like, and why this feels different than the other 2 movies. Like none of it felt like modern England. Like it seems like they're staying in castles or old barns and all this sort of stuff, and like even the village. And like bows and arrows. It feels like such a different world. Like as a like someone who didn't go through modern technology at all.
Spike doesn't know what a phone is. Yeah.
No, and like I really enjoy that. It being different than the other one, sort of thing. Like you don't see a can of Pepsi and they're like and Maltesers. Like I enjoy that sort of very old school, naturalistic, primitive like aspect of the story. The infrared shots that they just keep showing throughout, where the infected are like eating deer and stuff, are really effective and really cool. And obviously they're just there just to show what's going on out there, sort of thing. Conan, what do you think of them?
I was going to say, there's a few stylistic choices there that are interesting. The infrared shot it keeps going back to, it intersperses that whole first act with archival footage and like footage from old movies and military. And like soldiers marching in. I don't know. I found that really strange. And then there's also that in terms of stylistic choices, like the way he shoots action in this, where when an arrow hits infected, jars across 3 shots and then like freeze frames. It's
Have you've seen the thing that's gone viral, like the frame of how they shot that? So like they've been talking
rigs,
about
it's like 13
the rig
iPhones
of like
set up on a rig.
27 iPhones all around like the one person, and I kept being like, how is this going to be used? Like, what's the point of having all these iPhones like that? And it's the second that first arrow goes through, and then it like does the matrix shot of panning around and showing it go through. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool, and that's something different, like that we haven't really seen done in this style with iPhones. It's just like, I don't know. I thought it was really cool and stylistic and different.
It feels like the natural evolution from 28 Days. It's like we filmed on low-budget camcorders. Now we're filming on iPhones. It's definitely got like a flourish to it. It's just interesting. It's a lot more on display in this. Like, all those choices were really like what did you guys make of the archival footage? Like, did that work for you? Or?
Yeah, I liked all like the boots and the archival footage. Like all of that worked for me. Like I said, that first act was really captivating, and I was really on the ride. I was really enjoying it, and then it veers.
Well, let's talk about the third act then. Like,
I just want to touch on the archival footage just 1 second before we move on. Like, I guess the only thing that it seems to me, because it's obviously all old movies or archival footage, where it might be like, this is all they have to watch. Like this is maybe all that Spike has watched is
maybe.
VHS tapes of these old
Teletubbies.
movies.
Yeah.
Teletubbies are watching like archery in these old movies, and that's their reference for this sort of stuff. Like, but it was cool. It never felt like it's different. You're like, why is this being included? But it always gets played. Seems like when they're doing like the radio frequency of the Boots thing as well. I just I don't know. It got me hyped. I was like, yeah, let's trek to the mainland. This is cool.
Yeah. There's something like, I don't know, like the mythology of England and like their history as these conquering warriors and stuff, and that's what they're. Yeah, and now they're on an island, sort of. This is what their version of that looks like, and the whole mythologized England again post Brexit. A lot of reading to it, but it's cool. But yeah, look, third act, I think it's
Bone
the third,
Temple.
the Bone Temple, exactly. Where the Doctor turns up, covered in iodine, and really polite to these people. And
Yes,
it's great.
The movie again takes a really different turn. It goes from a horror journey into the mainland to a road trip horror film to a quiet contemplation on death. Memento Mori gets thrown around a lot, and this.
Yeah.
I don't know, really interesting change. I had no idea it was going to go there. Watching the trailer, I was like, oh, Ralph Fiennes is going to turn out to be like this psycho killer who's collecting. He's going to be the third act from Sunshine. He's going to be the true evil.
Yeah.
And instead, he's collecting all the dead and he's burning them down and he's memorializing them and kind of giving them back their humanity by taking away their individuality. It's a really interesting idea, right? Like collecting them all, posing them up, like they all had a story. They all have all these eyes had seen something, and he's kind of like committing to them, but he's stripping them back. I don't know. What thoughts? Tell me.
I mean, it's fascinating. Like, I didn't expect it to go this direction at all either. Just really interesting. He's an interesting character. His view on death is very interesting. I liked how he bumps into the memorial and a skull falls down. He's like, "Don't stress. Like, it's not, it's not a sacred place or anything. I'm just
like, oh, my temple.
Yeah, I'm just giving everything. It's giving them all their humanity back or whatever. Right? Like, it's fascinating. And then the look at them, the perspective of the mother and her getting diagnosed with cancer, and then choosing to die, and Spike going on that journey to place her skull. It's a really nice ending for her. And I think to die of cancer in the post-apocalypse is almost an honor as well, right? Like, there's so many other dangers in that world. To live long enough to see yourself get cancer and die from it's probably... I mean, obviously, it was a horrible way for her to die and the effect it had on her mentally, but it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, because he says that, right? He's like, there are some deaths that are worse than others. And that whole idea, of like dying this way by your own choice versus getting killed by a slug zombie when you don't expect it. It's fascinating. Luke, what did you think?
Yeah, I found the third act really powerful. Like obviously it goes from like the brutality of him like shoving the pitchfork into the Swedish guy's head to then like burn the skull. Obviously they don't want to show him doing that to Mother because it might make him a less sympathetic character of showing him decapitating her and then doing it. But it's nice that he quickly transfers her into a skull to put on the thing. But Ralph Fiennes is so good that like just I could hear him talk about like Memento Mori like my whole life. It's like it's such a calming presence in this film that it's like it's so weird. Like they have the posters of the big skull temple, like this tower and all this, and like the trailers. Going back and watching them now, like you do think, who is this crazy guy who's out in the middle of nowhere who's like got this whole temple of skulls and all this sort of stuff, and it is the most comforting place in the whole film. Like it's genuinely like a safe haven where you're like, oh, you also just feel like they're safe from infected there for some reason. They're like, oh, they're not going to be bothered by them here. Like for some reason, the Doctor's got this relationship. It's like,
that's right. There's this weird sense of like you're always part of you's waiting for the shoe to drop of like, oh, they're going to attack them when they least expect it, and the Doctor's going to sacrifice himself. to save Spike or something. But yeah, it never comes. Instead, it's almost as if there's that question of like, do they revere this? Is there something magical about this that like scares the infected away? Is he doing this as to like ward them off, or is it just coincidental? Is it just the iodine? I don't know, but
I love him covering himself in iodine as well, and that he's discovered that, like that.
Like, he's still a little bit quirky, right? Like,
yes.
he's saying all this poignant stuff, but he's still also a bit strange.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, and it kind of like it feels like this is the right fit for a movie like this, rather than trying to be pure horror like the first one. It's like, no, it's 28 years after the apocalypse. We've had time to live with the tragedy and the horror. Now it's time to reconcile with what it means to be a survivor and what it means to live in this world and what it means to die in this world. A really great thematic continuation of the story, I think. And yeah. And again, I saw some readings like comparing this to the whole like concentration camp and like that. There's that old saying of one death is a tragedy, millions of deaths become a statistic. And that's his whole quest here. He's undoing the statistical nature of it, where England is like this quarantined anomaly. And it's like he's trying to restore some balance there, and even then, that's why he's living. He's almost like living with the infected in a way. That's why he doesn't kill Samson, because he's like, we are all individuals. Lots of big ideas that super exciting, but
and it's the thing, like it kind of cracks me up, like the town, like have this whole thing of like, oh my god, like Doc's crazy. There was this time 10 years ago, he like waved at us with all these bodies around, and like he waved in such a jolly way too. He's just like, hello, and like they're just like, quick, run! This guy's nuts.
That guy's fucked up.
We can never go back to that part of the land again. Like, and he's just there building his temple for 10 years on his own. And there's a part of it that's comforting, and that I quite enjoyed the fact that he's a little quirky, but he's not like a deranged madman who hasn't seen someone civilized in 10 years and doesn't know how to talk to people. Like, I was kind of expecting that. Like, oh, this guy, he's going to be weird with him. He goes straight. It's almost weird maybe, but he almost goes straight back into doctor mode. Like, he's doing a normal doctor test, and he's like a normal doctor talking in like, and how does this feel? And how does this? It's like it never left him. He hasn't lost his humanity or his like civility.
Yeah.
He's stayed civilized out there in this like wild thing for 10 years on his own. I don't know how he's done it, because it doesn't feel like he's come across other people really, other than bodies. But yeah, it's also a lot of bodies. That's a lot of people he's gone out.
It's a lot of carrying people around, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in good shape.
He's ripped. No wonder.
I mean, you're right. Like he does a breast exam on Jodie Comer, like the first woman he's seen in 10 years, we presume. And he's very professional about it.
Meanwhile, them soldiers after 28 days were like, we need to repopulate. He is a girl. And 10 years later, he's asking for consent to do a breast exam. To determine if he's got cancer,
The duality of man on display.
Yes, exactly. Not all men.
Yeah. What did you guys think of Jodie Comer's whole character choice here, where it's revealed that she sort of suspected it's cancer? And she's like, I just never wanted to admit it. And now I guess I have to.
It's interesting. I don't know.
I thought it was more dementia as I was watching. I was like, oh, she's got dementia or something. Like,
yeah, she's an interesting character because she pops in and out of reality, right? Like, it's interesting to hear her explain it and be like, I kind of knew I was slipping away, but I had no control over it. And yeah.
I assume she was like depressed or had psychosis or some sort of mental illness, and was going to that whole idea of like, what does that happen in a reverted society? It kind of it felt a bit weird after all this ordeal they went through. She's like, yeah, I guess I knew it was cancer. It's like, couldn't you have told him? Couldn't you have at least been like, hey, I might have this?
Yeah,
I don't know.
He brought you across the country to visit this doctor to cure you. Did you not know there's no cure for that? Like, in this world, like,
surely you remember that, right?
But I don't know. The world ended in 2002. Who knows? Like, we didn't touch on the opening scene.
Well, I was going to come back to that with the end. Talk about
fair
that.
Enough.
But we can talk about that now if you guys. I don't have much else except philosophizing to talk about.
Well, I guess we'll just say the alpha comes back, obviously, for him, and he's trying to get him again through the grate or whatever. Obviously, it seems like he's well prepared of like, oh, I'll go into this. They can't get me once I'm in here, sort of thing. But Samson almost gets him. Do we think that's over the baby?
Never crossed my mind.
Really?
No.
I got the impression that he kind of like lives in this. He lives in unison with them. That's why he doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
It seems like he sort of respects them, and that's why he's named them. And it's like living with wild animals. You have to respect their balance.
He always says he keeps his distance too, right? Like I've never been this close to him. Yeah.
Yes.
He was, he was also observing him though, because he was like, I thought this might happen with like the pregnancy. He's like, I had wondered if this would happen. Like as if baby would be infected or not. So it's like he's keeping an eye on stuff of what's going on with them.
Could be. Very much could be. Like, yeah, I think, it's written in such a way it could go either way, right? They could never ever touch on it again they could touch on it being Samson is like the alpha who bred and he's looking for his child or something. Or it could be like it's just by bad luck that she got infected or pregnant.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, she didn't look as torn down as the other. Like the rest of them are mostly naked. She still had a dress on. Like it seems like it might be implied that she was more recently infected than others, but
I disagree. It's implied by Samson's swinging dong that he's breeding.
Maybe she was only 1 month pregnant overall. After all, just boom, straight to full term. Straight to full term. Ready for a toddler.
That's the power of Samson's sperm.
Yeah.
That's how they've survived this long. He's just shooting out babies every
He's just creating his army. Like literally, like he's like, I need adults.
Yeah. Those slugs, those crawling ones, just sperm.
Anyway.
All right. Jimmy.
Yeah, so the ending. So Jimmy appears. Obviously, this guy's the throwback to the opening scene. The kid at the very beginning who, again, Danny Boyle in opening scenes. Wow. Just fucking terror. This opening scene is horrifying. Just
nothing more horrifying than the Teletubbies.
Teletubbies on pixely tapes are awful. Just evil. But then, like, you see the parents come in, they're like, do not leave the room. And just watching the kids' faces and, like, you see fear on them. It was hard to sit through. And like,
it was hard to watch. Yep.
And blood splatter on the Teletubbies screen. Like, that's
right.
messed up. It's intense.
Yeah. Incredible stuff. Yeah. And so, obviously, this kid escapes with his weird cult father who seems to thinks it's Judgment Day.
Yep.
And so then we meet Jimmy. We meet Jimmy here, and he's dressed up as Jimmy Savile. I don't know, did the shift work for you guys? Because that is a big criticism. A lot of people find this jarring.
Big criticism.
Yeah, this is where it steps away from, like The Walking Dead into Fallout or something, or into Borderlands. Like, this is where it goes from grounded real apocalypse to now we're going to have crazy, quirky characters and dressing up in bright colors.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see the direction of it. Like, I think I'm okay with like a bombastic sequel. Like, there's just enough whiplash there that I'm actually kind of interested to see what happens. Like, I'm kind of curious to see if we end up with a bombastic trio of Jimmy Savile Power Rangers who just wander across England murdering zombies.
Yeah.
Like, it reminded me of what's that game it's Dead Rising? Zombies in a mall.
Shopping mall.
There's super goofy characters in that as well. Like, just strange and bombastic and weird. I don't know. I am really curious to see where it goes.
Yeah.
It's definitely a head spin after the poignant contemplation of death with Ralph Fiennes. But anyway.
Yeah. So I'm of two minds. I don't have a problem with a tone shift of like, there's these people who act and dress like this in this world, because obviously not everybody's going to be this more primalistic, like using bows and arrows and like old school. Some people won't change out of habit, so like watch different things growing up, and I'm okay with crazy factions being throughout England of like these different groups that all act differently. There's people interpretations of saying maybe, the way it's all shot and their movements and stuff like that, maybe that's the way Spike's seeing them. Maybe that's the way Jimmy sees them acting, and it's really they're just horrifically murdering, like they're like sadistic people, and maybe we'll get that other side when it's shown what's actually happening. And Jimmy just thinks he's this like hero doing cool moves and stuff like that. I'm okay with it. It felt jarring to me. Where I was like, oh, that was weird. I didn't fully understand this. I think a lot of the discourse around this would have been subverted if this was after a brief credit scene where
It's the stinger.
we have the somber credit. There's the first sets of credits, and then this pops up as like the stinger of like, okay, this is a complete tonal shift. This shows me what's happening to the next movie, as opposed to this being the ending of this movie. I think it would have played better with that, and I think I would have been more okay with it being the ending of this movie if it was a post-credit thing. But that's just me.
Yeah, maybe. Like, definitely, this is like as to choose this as the ending into the movie was a shock. Me and my friend saw it was like, I have no idea what to do with this now because it's just completely sort of obliterated everything else that was before. The longer I sit with it, the more interesting it becomes because obviously he's dressed less like Jimmy Savile. And Jimmy Savile in 2002 was an icon of British culture. Was like very popular, very beloved. You know, that's why he's dressing up. Obviously, he must have recognized this bombastic character with the tracksuit and the crazy hair. Then, knowing what we know now, he was one of England's greatest monsters, awful child sex offender. And so there's clearly this nod to like this guy. I think is not good. He's a cult leader. We've seen him carving his name on stuff.
Yep.
But like, there's this idea of this Jimmy Savile finds a child and says, "Let's be friends." Like, this guy's a predator. This guy's going to do. Jack O'Connell's going to do something. And I think there's been reviews where he said this is like one of the
it's his darkest character he's ever
darkest
done.
character. Yes, yeah. So I am super keen because I think you're right, Luke, where there's like this is a projection or this is an imagined version. This is someone imagining them doing this.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to go and actually be equally as dark. It's not going to be like this crazy fun, different factions in the wasteland. It's going to be like Jimmy Crystal and his gang of Jimmies are fucking evil.
He's spawned, like he's creating kids and like or converting his cult of Jimmy.
That's exactly like, and so I'm super interested with that. Like, I think it's going to be very interesting and like I'm pretty excited about the more I think about it because there's a lot of text there, a lot of ideas there.
See, it's a part of the movie I'd forgotten about until Grona mentioned it earlier, but there is a part of me that's more excited to find out like about the masks and like about that town, about like that sort of culty sort of stuff. But obviously we're going to get those worlds colliding because Aaron Taylor Johnson's going to be looking for his son. His son's going to be in the cult of Jimmy. Like there's Ralph Fiennes is there. The next one's called the Bone Temple. That's obviously going to be involved Ralph Fiennes a lot. It's going to be, I think, these three different things of like Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ralph Fiennes, Jimmy.
Isn't Cillian Murphy supposed to be back too? Like,
and Cillian Murphy is cast in the next one. Another Jim.
How do you guys think? Yeah, like yes, that's a really good point, right? Like this is all intentional. I think. How do you guys think he comes into it? Do you guys have any theories?
I mean, the theory was that he was that zombie in the field, right? But
but he's not.
No,
but that was an art dealer or something.
And then I kept being like, because I'd forgotten the kid's name at the start was Jimmy. And so when I kept saying Jimmy, I was like, oh, is this about Cillian Murphy's character? Or like, what's going on with this? And then I was kind of hoping at the end the stinger would be Cillian Murphy showing up and being like, hello.
I'm building a team.
Yeah,
team of zombie.
They meet Samuel Jackson here. He'll tell you everything you need to know. But yeah, it's strange. I was so shocked. I messaged Grant the next day being like, wait a minute, he's in the next one as well? Like, what? How have I not known all this stuff's happening? But yeah.
I'm very curious to see.
And like, they shot them back to back. They shot them back to back. Like it's shot, it's ready to release basically.
Yeah.
So interesting.
I'm a bit scared because apparently the third one that'll be Boyle directing that again.
They're waiting for it.
It's dependent on if these two do well. If these don't do well, Sony's not going to make it. So I'm like, please, Lord Garland, don't alienate people with weird Jimmy scenes at the end because if
that's
they don't
what
turn
I'm worried
out
about. I'm worried about the ending.
I'm like, if people don't turn out for Bone Temple, we're not going to get the ending, and that's going to really kill me.
Like if the poster of Bone Temple is just the Jimmy Gang, and like in their tracksuits, I don't know if that's going to sell well as this one did.
No, I don't think so.
Hmm.
Look, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, is it going to be like a metaphor for MAGA, where Jimmy and his gang are like the MAGites who like
Please.
make Britain great again? And there's this whole like
Watch it be banned in America.
it's like Brexit and MAGA colliding. Like, I don't know, I see that being a reading. Do you guys tire of my subtextual readings in these movies?
Never.
No, you just make me feel stupid because I'm like, oh shit, I didn't see any.
I'm like,
of that.
yes,
Brexit. Oh, of course,
I know,
Brexit.
I know all about Brexit.
Because
I have some strong opinions on Brexit. Let me tell you.
Because pull me up if it ever becomes tiresome.
No, it's great.
That's what
you are the intelligent one in this podcast. Me and Luke are like, zombies look cool.
Literally, my letterbox review is like, bow and arrows make everything cooler. You know, and then Conan's
You're right.
Paragraphs about, warfare just doesn't cut it. You know, it's a great film, but 3 stars.
Big 3.5. Get over it. All right. Is there anything else that I forgot to touch on? Do we need to mention?
No, this might be our longest podcast ever. Very thorough.
Yeah, sorry, I got carried away.
Conan special.
It's good.
Music's really good. Music's really good.
The music is good. Rank 'em. I need to rank 'em.
Oh, we do, yeah. For me, it's pretty easy.
Controversial.
Yeah, I agree.
Pretty easy. 1, 3, 2.
Yep, 100%.
Really?
Yeah, I knew you were going to do that. I knew it.
Yeah.
So you think 3 is better than 1?
I really enjoyed 3. And like obviously seeing 1 for the first time now, I don't think it has the same effect as watching it back in the day.
Possibly.
I really enjoyed 28 years later.
Yeah. That's good. Right on.
Can't wait to watch it again.
Yeah, I still want to watch it again. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right, well, look, that's the podcast. Thank you for joining us on another episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Worst. We didn't talk about what we're doing next time.
Oh, but Griner knows. Go to Griner.
Okay.
Yeah, so I believe it's my pick, and I don't believe there's anything else coming out. So I feel like we need to change a pace. Let's do Pitch Perfect.
That was my reaction too.
I haven't had a musical yet this year, so
That's true. You get one a year.
I get one a year.
Yeah.
All right, my wife will be happy with that. She loves that.
Yeah, so am mine. So, and look, I'll watch Anna Kendrick do anything. So,
yeah. All right, cool. Well, next fortnight, Pitch Perfect. Join us for that. This podcast is brought to you by my books: God Grotesque, Taste of Iron. No zombies yet, but just hold out for the 3rd.
Ooh, what a teaser.
If you liked this, please like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen. Follow us on Spotify, rate us on iTunes, click the bell on YouTube. Makes a big difference. Keeps the lights on. And thank you again. We'll catch you next time.
Peace.
yeah.